What is up everyone, Movie Worm back again with another video, and today is going to be another end of month vlog. I do these every month. You guys know the drill now if you're a regular viewer, where I just talk about all the movies and TV shows that I watched on Blu-ray, cinema or streaming, everything that I watch basically. Now some of you might notice that I've got a different background behind me here. For those who don't watch my horror channel, this is my usual background. I don't plan on having this background for this channel, but I just haven't decorated this room yet or anything. So in time, I'll probably do it from a different angle or something. But for now, I'm just going to use the same background. So hope it's okay for you who've seen it the first time or whatever. So I've got quite a few movies to talk about here and 2 TV shows. Quite more than regular. I had a good month here, although the quality wasn't the best, but there's still some bangers in here, of course. So let's just get into it now with the first thing that I watched in the month of March 2025. So first up, we do have Lake Mungo, a first time watch for me. And this was quite a creepy film, I'm not gonna lie. It's all about this family who are staying at this lake house, and this girl just goes missing in the middle of it all. And they're starting to see images of her in pictures that were taken around the time she went missing and stuff, and in the video clips of the family camera that they took holiday videos on and stuff like that. And I found it really to be quite spine-tingling, to be honest. And my wife was watching this movie with me, and halfway through she fell asleep, and I was like, damn, I'm kind of on my own here. I'm not usually scared by movies, but movies like this, which is like a mockumentary or found footage, can really get to me when done effectively, and this one was. I have a big problem with the movie though. It's kind of like in the middle of the film, something happens and I felt like I kind of wasted my time a little bit with the story, and then the story tries to get back on track and it can't quite gain the momentum again. So I didn't hate it or anything like that. I found it quite an enjoyable found footage movie, but yeah, I just wish they didn't do that thing in the middle there. I've got to say, all the people who do getting interviewed and stuff, like, they felt like real people. Great acting across the board. But yeah, I was kind of mixed on it because of that middle section. But not bad. That is Lake Mungo. Next up, we have The Order, which came out at the late end of 2024, but came to Amazon Prime this past month, I believe. I think it came in February, but I didn't get to watch it until March. And this is from director Justin Kurzel, who I think is a pretty underrated director. He made The Snowtown Murders and Nitram, and he's got a very realistic way of putting real-life stories on the screen in such a realistic manner that it feels like you are there. And this one was about these sort of KKK members who want to do an uprising, and to fund their uprising, they rob banks. And it's up to Jude Law, this detective, and his partner to track these people down before the uprising begins and, basically stop them robbing banks and stuff like that. And it's got Nicholas Hoult in, who's the main antagonist of the movie, who's had a really good year last year. And this is another addition to that filmography for 2024 and his ever-growing filmography, to be honest. He was pretty good in this movie, but the standout was Jude Law. I think this is one of the best performances Jude Law has ever given. He's like this hard-ass detective who will stop at nothing to track down these guys and stop them once and for all. A pretty good movie. There was some really good heist moments in here. I think it was a pretty good build-up to kind of the second half of the movie. I did enjoy the first half more, all the build-up and the tension and stuff, but it was still a pretty good movie overall. So yeah, I don't sleep on this one, guys. If you want a good, I believe it's a true story as well. I think it happened in the 80s, if I'm correct. And yeah, I thought it was a solid movie, and definitely worth it just for Jude Law's performance alone. I think he was the absolute standout of this film, but pretty interesting film and well directed once again from Justin Kurzel. So I'm going to have to check out more of his movies, because the ones I've seen, I really did enjoy. I know he made Assassin's Creed, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard it's terrible. But from the 3 I've seen now, I think he's pretty damn good. So that is The Order. Next up, we have Captain America Brave New World. A lot of hate for Marvel these days, isn't there? And the drop in their movies, and I've never really been quite there with that. I really enjoyed Phase 4, although it wasn't as good as the previous phases. I think there were some solid movies in there. I love The Eternals. I love Spider-Man No Way Home, which is my favourite Marvel movie, to be honest. So for me, I thought it was quite good, Shang-Chi and stuff. However, this one kind of, like the last couple, not Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but the Marvels and this, I haven't really enjoyed all that much. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not as bad as the Marvels, but it's on the very lower end of my MCU ranking. I found it to be passable. That's about it. It's the worst of the Captain America movies, to be honest. And we've got Anthony Mackie here in the role now, who's taken over from Steve Rogers. And he's like the new Captain America, of course. If you've watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you'll be all updated with that, which is a pretty good TV show. I really like that, to be honest, despite some people giving it negative reviews. But this one just felt like we were going back to the very first wave of Marvel, where there's some good movies in there, but it was kind of finding its feet a little bit. And that's what this movie kind of felt like. It was just a bit of a messy script. You know, there's characters in there like Giancarlo Esposito, who I didn't really know what the whole point of him was. Harrison Ford and the Red Hulk and stuff, that doesn't really come to fruition until the climax, the last 20 minutes, even though the whole movie was advertised on this. I didn't really like Harrison Ford in this movie as a character. He was an asshole. And it's all like a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, which I've seen twice, but I can't really remember too much about it. And it kind of asks you to have full memory of that movie, even though it was like the second MCU film. So kind of, if you're going to go into this and you haven't seen it, maybe rewatch The Incredible Hulk to be updated, but we shouldn't have to do that, really, should you? So yeah, I thought the villain was quite ridiculous as well. Overall, I had an okay time with it. Some of the action was great. There's a one that happens over the sea and, you know, all these fighter jets and stuff. I thought that was pretty good. But unfortunately, one of my least favourite MCU movies, to be honest. So that is Captain America, Brave New World. Next up, I carried on this Anaconda box set here. And I watched the first one quite a while ago. And I'm just going to talk about the second one right here. And that is Anaconda's Hunt for the Blood Orchid. And this isn't on for too long. And I had a bit of time to kill before I went and picked my lads up from nursery. So I get home early on a Friday and I've got like an hour and a half there, something like that. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to squeeze a film in here. I'll watch this. Didn't hold any hope for it whatsoever. And my God, I really enjoyed this movie. I couldn't believe how it was kind of on the level of the first one. I might have even enjoyed this one a little bit more, to be honest. The only thing that's the downside is the characters and the cast are more fun in the first one, because you got John Voight in there, Owen Wilson, Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube are in it. So that's a fun cast. Here, the characters aren't all that interesting, but they're still interesting enough. I didn't hate the characters or anything like that. It was a really interesting film. Not interesting, really fun movie, should I say. It follows the plot similar to the first movie, where we're in this boat and we're going up the river and they get stuck in the jungle because these anacondas that have grew to massive size are hunting them down. And what I think this movie does really well, it doesn't show the snakes very often, and when it does, it's for like seconds. So any bad CGI, which this is what this movie has, like the first one, you're not taken out of it too much because you don't really see much of the snakes until the final third act. And I think that was a very, very good idea to do that. But honestly, guys, if you have ever been on the fence with this movie, or you own a box set like me and you haven't watched it yet, give this one a go, because I thought it was pretty damn good. And I've actually put it on my underrated movie list over on Letterboxd, believe it or not. So yeah, a real nice surprise for the month. That is Anaconda's The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. Next up, I watched a Video Nasty Absurd. Yeah, I bought this one with Anthropogust in not long ago, and it was a first time watch for me, I'm not going to lie. And I really enjoyed Anthropogust. This is the same director, and this is meant to be like a spiritual sequel of some sort, although it's got Nothing to do with the original movie apart from the same director, and I think the killer in this is the same actor. I think. Don't quote me on that. But this one just sees this guy who's been experimented on, and this experiment has made him go wrong, made him turn him into a murderer, and he comes to this town and starts murdering people and going on this murder spree, and it's up to this priest to follow him into the town and sort of stop him, basically, and work with the local sheriff or police officers and stuff to track this guy down before he does more damage. Now, there's some pretty good kills in here, although I don't know if it's the 4K or time has moved on, but you can kind of see how all the practical effects are done here. It's kind of easy to spot. And even though there's some violence in here, they're kind of not on the level of the Terrifier movies, let's say. I know these were probably shocking back in the day, but there's lots of movies that come out now that have way more gore than this. But overall, I found it to be decent enough. I enjoyed Anthropophagus a little bit more. I don't want to compare the two too much, but because they're kind of different stories. But it was fine. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Not a bad video nasty at all. Next up, I went to the cinema, but I do own this on Blu-ray, so I'm just going to show it here, and that is The Big Lebowski. Now, I have always wanted to rewatch this movie. I've seen it once. I didn't quite get it, and my friend Kyle said, look, come to cinema to watch The Big Lebowski. I've always wanted to see it on the big screen, and I have a rewatch movie list on Letterboxd, and this has been top of that list for the longest time. So yeah, I thought, why not? I'll go to cinema and watch it with him. And you know what, guys? A lot of people say this is better on rewatch. And it's like a common thing that this is a movie that you need to see twice to really appreciate it. And I totally agree with those people. I absolutely love this on a second time viewing. Well, so well written from the Coen brothers here. I mean, it's basically about a lazy guy called the Dude, who I really didn't like the first time around. I didn't like his character. This time I absolutely loved him. And he basically is meddled into this gangster plot, this ransom thing, and he's sort of, it's been put on his shoulders to deal with it a little bit there, but he's got this friend played by John Goodman called Walter, who's just off the rails, doesn't give a fuck, he just doesn't let anything faze him, and he's a bit of a loose cannon. And it centers around them playing bowling all the time and stuff, but it's just full of wacky characters. Great dialogue. I was laughing my ass off so much in this movie. What's his name? Is it John Not John Lithgow. What am I talking about? Oh, what's his name, man? I will remember his name when it goes off camera, but the guy who plays Jesus in the bowling alley kind of steals the show in the 2 little scenes that he's in. He's even more of a madman than Walter, to be honest. I think he's the only person that Walter's kind of wary of in this movie. But yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I just think it's such a fun comedy, crime sort of movie that if you've ever not really got it the first time, guys, and you've never rewatched it, definitely give it another go. I feel like this is going to be even better on a third time, and I will definitely watch this again soon. I loved it. So yeah, really glad my friend Kyle took me along to watch this one. Brilliant movie. That is The Big Lebowski. Next up, we have A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Yeah, first time watching me this one, guys. A foreign movie. I think it's Iranian, is it? And this is about this vampire who's just stalking the streets at night. And there's a little bit of a love story going on in the second half of the movie involving this vampire and this young boy who's kind of finding his way in life. And I gotta be honest, guys, there's some good moments in this film. There's a moment where it felt very sinister, where she's talking to this young kid and quite scary. And it was nicely shot and everything. Black and white movie, by the way, but I think it had a good effect on it. But I just found this movie to be mostly very boring. I just didn't get invested in the characters, didn't get invested in the romance side of things. I just thought, yeah, it was kind of a waste of time. Very art housey movie, which for me are not the types of films I usually go for, but I can appreciate them when done well. And this is very critically acclaimed. We've got 2 5-star ratings on there. But for me, I just didn't get it. So overall, bit of a bland movie, unfortunately. That is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Yes, I got it right. Next up, we have the new Danny Dyer movie, Marching Powder. I was really looking forward to this because Nick Love and Danny Dyer getting back together was a match made in heaven for me personally, because I love the business, I love the Football Factory, and Outlaw is one that really grew on me with more watches. And I kind of just think they make fun movies. They're not great films, you know, they have silly stories, but they're just easy watches, aren't they? And this one was no different. Probably not the best of Nick Love's movies, probably on the lower end, but I see Danny Dyer who's in a struggling marriage, he's always on cocaine and fighting at the match with his mates, stuff like that, you know, just always on the aisle. And he's got to save his marriage, really. And this, he kind of gets caught in this courtroom sort of thing, and the judge says, if you don't want to go to jail, you've got to pick your life up within the next 6 weeks, and he's got to kind of behave himself, and all his friends are just kind of thinking that he's changing and stuff. There's one point where he walks into the pub and all his friends order pints, and he goes, what are you having? I forgot to get Danny Dyer's name in it, but what are you having? He goes, I'll have a pear juice. And they're all just laughing at him. I mean, the way he delivered that line was great. But yeah, it's a good little movie, you know, nothing spectacular. The guy who plays Raph from the Football Factory was in this film, kind of unrecognisable. I knew him from somewhere, but he's got like a bowl cut and everything in this film, and he's playing this crazy character. He was a real fun character in this. He's kind of a schizo who just beats up gangsters and stuff and gets into all sorts of trouble, and Danny Dyer's always got to bail him out of things. So he was a fun character, I thought. But overall, I don't think there was any point to the movie. I mean, there's not really many character arcs going on. It felt like the Football Factory, where there's certain characters are just in the same place they are at the end of the film. But there was a lot of great dialogue, a lot of fun moments. Some jokes didn't land, but I'd say 70% of them did. So yeah, could have done with some better writing with the comedy and stuff. Overall, I had fun with it. So that is Marching Powder. Next up, we have the Fine Film Collection of Final Destination, and I'm just going to talk about the first one here and another one later on in the video, but I'll move that over there so you can see the movie poster. Final Destination is one of my favourite horror movies of all time, and with Final Destination Bloodlines coming out soon, me and my wife started to decide to watch these movies. And yeah, I mean, this one is one of the scariest movies ever for me, because I hate flying, and that opening scene just terrifies me every single damn time, but it's done so well that I can appreciate it. And what happens is these characters basically get on a plane. One of them has a premonition and says this plane's going to explode. So about 6 of them get off, and the plane does in fact explode, but death comes after them one by one. So it's kind of turned into a little bit of a slasher movie there, with an invisible killer, if you like, using the surroundings for creativity. Like, one guy will slip on the bathroom floor and choke himself to death on the curtain wire, the shower curtain wire, and then, you know, there's other ones where someone's ran over by a bus. You know, they're all made to look like accidents, and it's a really, really fun concept. I absolutely love this film. I think it's probably in my top 30 horror movies ever. The only problem is it's kind of like the final showdown. You kind of don't know what to do there, because who do you go and take on? It's not like you're going to take on Freddy Krueger or Candyman. So it's all in the form of this live electricity wire that this guy has to go and save this girl from, because that's what's trying to kill her. Yeah, so they kind of get lost a little bit towards the end. But overall, really fun film, great characters, and I think Devon Sawyer puts a great performance in as Alex here. So yeah, Final Destination, if you've never seen these guys, there's a lot of fun to be had with them. So that is the first Final Destination movie. Next up, we have Big Hero 6. I've had this one in the collection for the longest time. I think I bought it from like Poundland or something. And this isn't something I really do with my Blu-rays anymore, just buy anything. But I'm trying to get my watch list down to 0. I've got about 65 unwatched movies now. So I'm going to be working on that and grinding through it for the rest of the year. But I finally watched this one, and I quite enjoyed it. You know, it was fine. This is about this young boy who's like this tech wizard, and his brother invents this robot like this guy, Baymax. And, you know, he's got this invention sort of thing, but his brother actually dies. and then he tries to give some love to this Baymax, and kind of in honor of his brother, or it accidentally happens or something like that. And they go on this adventure and become superheroes. And his name is Hero, this guy, believe it or not. And Hero and his friends also get involved, and they form this team of superheroes, really, and go and save the world. It's okay. You know, I didn't absolutely love it or anything, but it was fun. It was a fun time. It's a good little Disney animated movie. And Baymax was a really great character. I really enjoyed him. You know, not ahead of its time, but AI and Androids and stuff are becoming a thing now, aren't they? So, yeah, slightly ahead of its time, I suppose. But overall, it wasn't bad. That is Big Hero 6. Next up, I watched Bong Joon-ho's latest movie, Mickey 17. I was really excited for the cinema this month because we had lots of original films coming out, and this was one of them. And I was really disappointed in this film, guys. I'm not going to lie. This sees Mickey 17. Well, his name's Mickey. And it's all in the future and stuff. And he can go to this planet and be experimented on, where they can just basically kill him and bring him back to life in basically a new body, basically. But he's got all his memories still and everything like that. And they use him to basically go out there and see if the atmosphere is breathable on planets and stuff, because it doesn't matter if he dies or not, they're just going to bring him back. And he volunteers for this and everything because he's got nothing going on in his life. But there is a rule that if they accidentally reprint you, and there's two of you, you will be destroyed forever. And at one point they think he's dead, so they reprint him, and there is two Mickeys about here on this planet, so they kind of make a pact between them to take turns on doing jobs for this corporation, while the other one kind of hides in the room. A mad concept, I know, and they're kind of sharing a girlfriend and everything. I thought this was good for a little bit, and then it kind of totally lost me when it goes on about this war with these creatures that's happening out on the outskirts of this planet, this experiment center. Yeah, I think it was in this, Mark Ruffalo. I thought he was a really great character as this kind of overlord who's in charge of everything. But the movie just lost me. I mean, I knew what was going on. I didn't get lost or anything, but when I say it lost me, I kind of lost my interest, to put it that way. The first hour was good, and then it just went to shit. And it became a really disappointing film because Bong Joon-ho is a great director. He's just come off the back of Parasite, which was brilliant. But for me, this just didn't work at all. I will say Robert Pattinson put a great performance in. I really did like his character. But something really confused me as well when there's two Mickey 17s. They've kind of got different personalities, even though they're meant to act the same. So yeah, that didn't make sense to me. So yeah, the location it all takes place in this experimental type prison looking place, became really depressing and dull as the movie went on as well. I didn't like hanging around there. So overall, Mickey 17, whilst trying to be something different, and I know it's based off a screenplay or a book or whatever, didn't work for me whatsoever. So that is Mickey 17. Next up, we have Control Freak, another new release for this year that came to Disney Plus, and I didn't like this movie at all, guys, to be honest. I think it's second to bottom on my ranking so far, but the poster really pulled me in. It's like an ant or a spider coming through someone's eye, and I went, I'm watching that. And it's all about this motivational speaker played by Kelly Marie Tran, who's a good actress in this movie, but I didn't like her character whatsoever. Who's this motivational speaker, and she's telling people how to live their life, how to control their life, how to be in control, whilst not being in control of her own life because she can't stop scratching this itch on her head, and this parasitic demon is trying to get in there. Or is he? I mean, it's all metaphorical. You know, the movie plays on a lot of metaphors and hidden meanings and stuff like that, and it just didn't work for me. It's an interesting concept, but one that just fell flat and not executed very well at all. I don't mind movies when they do this if it's executed right. This one just wasn't. And I didn't like any of the characters. Like I said, Kelly Marie Tran's character, even though she's so popular and stuff, I didn't get anything interesting about her. Her boyfriend was a little bit of like a dork really, and her father was just the biggest arsehole I've seen in, well, one of the biggest assholes I've seen in a movie all year. And every time he was in the film, it just brought it down. So yeah, one of the dullest movies I've ever watched. So that is Control Freak. Next up, we do have my older release of the month, and that is The Terminator on 4K. Yes, I went home from the match, you know, I'd had a few beers and stuff like that, and I just thought, I'm going to throw something on that I can watch easily here, and that was The Terminator. I just picked this up on 4K not long ago, so another excuse to go back to it. And the 4K looks brilliant on this. I know people are complaining and stuff, but man, I'm so happy with the transfer here. And this is just one of the greatest films ever made now, isn't it? Seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger come back from the future to terminate Sarah Connor, because she's going to have a son in the future who's going to be able to stop the machines. Cool little concept, but James Cameron directs the shit out of this. I mean, he's kind of... Quentin Tarantino is my favourite director of all time, but I will not argue with anyone who says James Cameron is the best, because every fucking film he makes is just immaculate. And this is no exception. Now, this is such a dark movie. Like, it's scary at times, you know? I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is quite terrifying. Now, I'm not going to go out there and say it's a horror movie or anything like that. I think there's too much action in it for it to be a horror film. But it is terrifying at times, the way he's just relentless, takes anything out that gets in his way. And great performances from Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton as well. I really love these two in this movie, this little couple that they are. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is the man. That moment where he goes into the police station and blasts all these police officers, he's just an unstoppable killing machine, isn't he? And it's got my favourite scene of all time in The Tech Noir. Absolute perfection. I love that moment in this movie. I can just watch it over and over again. So yeah, The Terminator, one of the greatest films of all time, and it's definitely my older release of the month. Delving back into the Anaconda box set, and we do have Anaconda 3, Offspring. This is a double set. I'll talk about the fourth one shortly. I was really hoping for something here, because the second one surprised the hell out of me, but Anaconda 3, Offspring was absolutely fucking awful. Sorry about the swearing, guys, but it was. This is an experimental science lab experimenting on these snakes and making them bigger and more sinister and attack-minded. And of course, this snake escapes into the forest behind this experiment center, and then David Hasselhoff and his friends get called in to track down his snake and kill it, basically. But this woman who experimented on the snakes is out there trying to stop her as well. And I really didn't like her character at all. I thought she was a terrible female protagonist. Couldn't get behind her whatsoever, because it's all her fault. She admits it in the movie, but she still, you know, she still made this happen. And David Hasselhoff, his gang were just pathetic characters. You know, the costume design on them was so laughable. But David Hasselhoff done a job here. He was one of the best things about the film. But when the snakes come along and just basically bite people's heads off and stuff, the CGI just looks fucking awful. The snakes, the anacondas, have sharp tails and they stab through people, but it just looks so bad. I think this was a sci-fi original movie, and you can tell it. Yeah, not a very good film at all, guys. I just thought it was so bad. So that is Anaconda 3, The Offspring. Next up, we have Last Breath, which is a true story that is based in Scotland about this guy, this team of divers, and one of them gets his bodysuit, like the rope on it, gets caught, and he stays under the water running out of oxygen for a long time, and it's up to these divers to try and rescue him. Now, I'm going to contradict myself slightly here, because this is actually a miracle, this story, but I kind of don't think it should have featured a full-length movie for this story. And because the whole incident happens within 20 minutes, 25 minutes or something like that, but they make a whole movie out of it. And the bookends of the film kind of feel like filler, where characters are having dialogue and just talking shit. And there's this romance involved that kind of couldn't really buy into all that much, and it plays on that towards the end because it's trying to fill the runtime out. So yeah, all that didn't really work for me, but the middle portion of the movie definitely did. The whole thing that this movie is about. So yeah, a lot of people I've spoke to quite liked this film. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was okay. I mean, but it is a miracle, this story, what it's telling. It's just very hard for me to accept that this is a full feature length film. But how can I say that when we're telling the story of a miracle? So yeah, Last Breath wasn't bad. Go to see Woody Harrelson again. I absolutely love that guy. So yeah, that is Last Breath. Next up, we have possibly the most controversial movie ever. Definitely more in recent times anyway, especially with the internet and how it is now, and that is Snow White. I just wanted to go and see this movie because I don't care about most of the backlash it's had and the politics around it. I just wanted to go and see it because I was quite a fan of the original growing up. I watched it a few times. My wife kind of wanted to see it, so she went, come on, let's just go and watch it. And you know what, guys? I enjoyed this film. I did. I mean, a lot of people won't like it, and I get it. I get it. I mean, Disney are just milking the cow now with these live action remakes. But I gotta say, after Beauty and the Beast, I think this one might be the best live action remake. I mean, I really got something with this film. Now, the CGI on the dwarves is a little bit off, but it never really ever bothered me. I mean, I quite enjoyed the interaction with the dwarves and Snow White and stuff. And Rachel Zegler, who's at the back end of the controversy for this film, is probably the best thing about it. She's the best actress in here. She's a great singer. It worked for me. Now, I've got to say, some of the costume design looks kind of cheap. I will say that. Kind of looks like it should be on a TV movie at times. But basically, it's just the story of Snow White and the wicked stepmother, played by Gal Gadot, trying to track her down and kill her so she can be the fairest of them all. A lot of people have said Gal Gadot is terrible in this movie. I didn't quite see that. I don't think she's a bad actress. I think she's getting a lot of hate here because her political beliefs, and whatever side you're on, that's fine. I mean, I'm not someone who tries to get into all that. There's too much hate in the world now. I'm not really a political person at all. So, for me, I thought she was fine. I did. There's no way this movie should be getting 1.5 on IMDb, but it's been review bombed for all political reasons, isn't it? Which is, to me, is sad. It is. I understand why people are upset with Rachel Zegler's comments and stuff, and to a point, I can sort of agree with those people a little bit, but the life's too short, man. So, for me, I just went and watched the movie as a movie without all that in the background, and I enjoyed it. So that is Snow White. Next up, we have Popeye the Slayer Man, another public domain horror movie, and weirdly the second Popeye horror film that we've got this year after Popeye's Revenge. And this sees a bunch of characters holed up in a spinach factory where this spinach has been infected and made Popeye mutated and into this killer machine. And he just comes after these characters one by one in the factory. And I gotta say, I was really surprised with some of the practical effects here. They were really well done for such a low budget. And there's people's scalps being torn off. There's anchors slitting people in half. Well, Popeye slammed it on them and stuff like that. Some really, really good kills in here. People are crushed and everything. That was the standout of the film. And there was a really good female protagonist in this movie who I thought was a really great actress, and it's the first time she's ever been in anything as far as I know of. Most of the other characters didn't care for. Popeye himself didn't really have a great look on him. He kind of looked like the Michelin Man. I like the way they throw some Popeye lore in there, like when he's smoking his pipe, sometimes the characters can smell the smoke and go, oh, Popeye's near and stuff. The whole use of the spinach storyline, Popeye slamming the anchor through someone. It kind of plays on all the Popeye-isms, if you like, but it's not a very good movie, guys. However, the slasher fan in me got something out of this. If you want to see my full thoughts, I'll leave the review down below, guys, to my horror channel. You can go and check that out. But overall, I didn't mind it. But it wasn't a good movie. It was just a watchable one. So that is Popeye the Slayer Man. What a title, by the way. Next up, we have a Korean detective thriller called Revelations that came to Netflix, and I watched it that very weekend. And this is this guy who comes out of prison. I think he murdered or molested someone. And this detective who is related to one of the victims is trying to track him down or keep an eye on him, really, in case he does anything wrong. And the other side of the story sees this priest who's trying to bring him into the religion to make him a better person. And something in the middle of the movie kind of goes wrong with this killer, and there's an investigation into all of that. But this priest is kind of trying to sort his own demons out and stuff, while this detective woman has got all this other stuff going on. I thought the first hour of this film was quite a good build-up, and then the second half, I didn't really care too much for it. It was building up to do a great climax, and it didn't quite go there. But overall, it was a decent detective thriller, but one that is, I'm kind of struggling to remember it all, even though I only watched it a few weeks ago. But it was okay. It was okay. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was just a watchable film. So that is Revelations. Next up, we have Black Bag, and I actually went to see this at the cinema twice because I watched it. I went the first time, and after about 15 minutes, I fell asleep because I am just so tired these days with my kids keeping me up all night. Although it is getting slightly better, and I'm getting a few better sleeps lately. That night, I was just knackered. I could not keep my eyes open. And this movie kind of doesn't help with that because the whole thing is about dialogue, and it's a very smooth movie, the way it's directed by Steven Soderbergh. So it's kind of like trying to be classy and stuff like that, but the whole thing is just dialogue. Now, what it is Michael Fassbender. By the way, because I fell asleep, I went like a week later and watched it again because I really did want to see it. I liked what I seen. But this is Michael Fassbender. He's like this secret agent, and he has been tasked with finding out who this rat is, who's selling this secret weapon to this other country, or these terrorists. And there's like 5 people on this list that he has to investigate. So he invites them all over for dinner and tries to get into their heads. And the whole movie is him basically trying to find out who this person is, and one of them may be his wife. So, played by Cate Blanchett, who does really well in this movie as well. I thought this had a really fun cast. The woman who played Amy Winehouse in the latest Amy Winehouse film, I forgot her name, best actress in this movie by a mile. She was the best character. Really loved her on screen. But all the other characters were like assholes, but likable assholes. You love watching them and the way they talk and act and stuff. However, the movie is kind of uninteresting at times. Like, you're fully invested what's going on, but it's just the same thing all the way through. Michael Fassbender attempting to find out what's going on and trying to guess who's having these hidden secrets and stuff like that. So yeah, the way it's directed is a little bit weird, but I wasn't fully invested in the story, put it that way. I mean, I'm invested watching it and know what's going on, but I'm not overly excited as to what's going on, if you get me. And with the whole climax and stuff, it weren't really that big of a crescendo. So, yeah. Black Bag, a lot of people are loving this film, rightly so. I mean, it's something a little bit different, but for me, it was okay. It was okay. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So that is Black Bag. Next up is going to be my new release of the month, and this is a TV show, and this is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney+. Wow. I absolutely loved this show. I'm a big Spider-Man fan anyway, so I was always going to watch this, but I really like the look of the animation and stuff, and the animation works perfectly for me. And this is Peter Parker basically being bit by the spider, and it's a year later, and he's got to balance him being Spider-Man with friendships and, you know, the usual Spider-Man stuff, while no one really knows his identity. But what's his name? Harry Osborn. What's Harry Osborn's father's name? Mr. Osborn, I'll just call him. Damn, I forgot his name. Mr. Osborn is helping him out and starts to upgrade his suit and stuff as the show goes on. Great characters come into it, and there's story arcs going off here and there. I really enjoyed it. I did. I thought it had great characters, great animation, great voice work, great story. Virtually everything worked for me. The last episode, where it's kind of just a little bit of a multiverse thing going on, kind of took me out of it a little bit. I didn't really love it. Well, half the last episode, but it ends well. It ends well. It was just the last episode. For half of it, I wasn't really into. But I gotta say, there's not much wrong with this show, guys. I absolutely loved it. And I can't wait for season 2. It's gone, oh, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. If you are a Spider-Man fan and you haven't seen this, check this motherfucker out. So that is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And next up is another TV show that nearly got me a new release of the month. I just enjoyed Spider-Man a little bit more, but this is Adolescence, which has been the talk of political Twitter. Again. This is a young boy who's accused of murdering a girl in his school by stabbing her to death. And the police come to his house, arrest him, and it takes place over 4 different episodes. Excuse me. So the first episode is the police raiding his house, arresting him, and Stephen Graham, his father, going to the police station with him, and how all that process works. Because this is all done in one shot. Every episode is a one-shot take, and they're about an hour long each. The second episode, we see the police officers going around the school trying to get a bit of info. The third episode is an interview with this young boy and this woman who's trying to get into his head and stuff. And the fourth episode is Stephen Graham and how his family are coping before the trial. And I gotta say, it was so impressive the way this was directed. I find it very hard to believe how these cast and crew members and the cast and the crew work together to make all this happen. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the way these actors must be under so much pressure to deliver, and especially towards the end of the episode where one mistake can change everything. I heard the first episode was done in 2 takes from Stephen Graham himself, and the last episode was done in 14 takes. So what does that tell you? I gotta say the last episode was the most impressive because characters are traveling to places, they're going to certain stores and having interactions with other characters, and then there's a lot of emotion involved. Brilliant from Stephen Graham and the rest of the crew, the actors and the crew as well. They're all in sync, you can tell. One thing that really impressed me is a woman, Stephen Graham's wife, going up the stairs, and it showed you how that was done. And one cameraman will pass it up to the other cameraman up the gap in the stairs. It's madness to me. So yeah, I thought this was fantastic. I did. Definitely watch it, guys. Definitely give it a go. You cannot take your eyes off it once you start watching it. The young boy in this, I forgot his name. It's his first performance. He is going to go on to have a very successful career, I imagine. The woman who was also interviewing him in the third episode was fantastic. It's just, it's unbelievable. It's very hard to see how they done this, but they did it. They pulled it off. And I could never ever spot anyone overacting or anything like that, anyone forcing anything. It was just done to near enough perfection. I just put Spider-Man above it because I just had a much more fun time with it. This is more of a serious type show, but it was very, very close. It was very close. So Adolescence, guys, fantastic. And my wife was crying her eyes out at the end of it. So if you like your emotion and stuff, there's some here. So yeah, that is Adolescence. Next up, we have this bad boy again, Anaconda Part 4. Yeah, Trail of Blood, it's called. Man, I'm struggling to fucking remember what the fuck happened in this movie. Yeah, this is basically about this guy who's trying to track down this serum that this woman has who can cure this guy's cancer because it's taken from the snakes, but as he's trying to get it, the snakes are prowling around. And it's got the same protagonist from Part 3 in, who I didn't like. This one was slightly better. There was some good action and stuff like that in this. But overall, I give both of these movies 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so there isn't much difference here. Yeah, I just... How can I hardly remember much about this movie when I watched it like a week ago? Yeah, I mean, the characters were better. I remember that as well. The terrorists are kind of better. There's a better villainous gang in this one as well. And the snakes looked slightly better. Slightly, but it's still terrible. So yeah, believe we've got another Anaconda movie coming out this year. So yeah, I'll be looking out for that one. But yeah, Anaconda's Trail of Blood, not very good at all. Next up, we have The Rule of Jenny Penn, and I was quite looking forward to this one. This one got a cinema release at the start of the month in America, and then it came to Shudder at the end of the month. And this sees Geoffrey Rush, who has a stroke. He's like this judge. He has a stroke in the courtroom, and he gets sent to this old person's home until he becomes better and tries to recover. And whilst that's not quite happening, it's kind of going the other way. John Lithgow's character is bullying him and all the other people in this home, because he's just this total sinister arsehole. What a horrible bastard John Lithgow is in this film, but he's the best thing about it as well, because that's the whole point of it. And what I liked about this movie, what it was trying to do, is John Lithgow is kind of a bigger version of what's happening to Geoffrey Rush, because he's kind of losing his mind, and it's kind of everything's closing in on him, and he becomes helpless. And at other times, John Lithgow is in the room and sort of bullying him and causing him pain because he can't help himself. And it's just a bigger version of what is going on with Geoffrey Rush's character. That's the true horror of this movie, where he is becoming helpless. But John Lithgow, man, he is just a horrible, horrible person in this movie. And I've never quite seen a horror movie that takes place in an old person's home. So that was kind of new. Appreciated that angle. But I gotta say, guys, it was kind of a dull movie for most of it. When John Lithgow's not in it, it's kind of just nothing really too much happening, nothing too much moving forward, and it felt like a streamer movie, put it that way. Also, John Lithgow's got this doll on his hand, and I totally missed the point of that. I didn't get what was going on with that at all. If you guys can let me know on the beneath, that would be interesting, because I haven't really got any desire to revisit this. But it was okay. It was okay. I just found it a little bit dull at times and depressing, but good idea. I see what they're trying to do with it. So that is The Rule of Jenny Penn. Next up, we have The Woman in the Yard, the new Blumhouse movie, where this family look out the window and this woman is sitting in the yard, all dressed in black, got a black veil over her face and everything, and she looks very, very sinister. And it looks like she's just come from hell or something. She looks that scary. And this woman goes out to her and she just says to her, today's the day. And this movie, for the first hour, is basically just characters trying to figure out what's this woman doing in the yard. As she gets closer and closer to the house, every time they look out the window, the family dynamic. It's kind of like a family drama with them all arguing back and forth. And it's like a teenager, the mum, and the daughter, and they've lost their father. She's like a widow now. And the teenage son is kind of biting back at her, saying, why aren't you telling us everything? And things start to unravel a little bit there. But the whole thing becomes this metaphor. And at the end of the movie, I was confused as hell as to what was going on. And I had to go into my car after it and look up the ending explained. I'll admit it right now, I didn't get it. And when I read the ending explained, I was like, oh, that's not the greatest message to send out there. You'll know what I mean when you see it. I can't really get into spoilers or anything. But I just didn't really like this movie all that much, guys. I mean, a lot of people are really enjoying it, especially because of the ending. But that last 20 minutes just kind of just threw me off, and I didn't know what the hell was happening. And when I found out, I didn't like what I found out. So yeah, go into it and see what you think, because a lot of people are enjoying it and a lot of people are hating it. It's one of the most Marmite movies of the year. So that is The Woman in the Yard. And next up, we do have this box set once again, and that is Final Destination 2. Now, I do plan on reviewing all these over on the Horror Channel, guys, so look out for that. But I've only ever seen this movie once, and I remember not thinking it was all that great. And I've rewatched it, and I kind of still feel the same. Like, this is a 6 out of 10 movie for me, when the first one is much classier. This one feels a lot worse produced. It kind of feels like the actors aren't all that great. The directing and stuff feels a little bit off. There's like a filter on there that just seemed cheap. And there's a lot of lore added into this that kind of just throws a lot at you. Like 1 minute we'll find a new rule, then another rule, then another rule. And it's like, look, just slow the script down a little bit there. Maybe do that in the next movie or something. You don't have to change all the rules so quickly here. But I still had fun with it because the death scenes are great. And that's what these bread and butter of these movies are, aren't they? So this takes place on a highway where there's a massive crash, and it will make you not want to drive next to any wagons that are holding tree logs on it ever again. But yeah, great opening once again, and the kills in this were really fun too, especially that one where the eye is impaled on that guy and the barbed wire slices through that other guy. So yeah, I enjoyed it to a point, but there's so many flaws with this one. I remember really liking the third one, so I'm really looking forward to watching that one again. So yeah, Final Destination 2, a little bit of a step down, unfortunately. Hey guys, that is my end of month video. What did you think of these movies? I will admit, this wasn't the best month for me. The only real standouts for me were the 2 TV shows, the Terminator and the Big Lebowski, really. Really didn't get along with all the new releases either, even though I was expecting to, I was excited for all these original films, but it just wasn't to be. So let me know, guys, what you think of these movies, and let me know what you watched as well. It'd be great to hear what some of your highlights were. So thanks so much, guys. You all take care. I'll see you all in the next video.